everybody. I'm the Keeper, and welcome to the Keeper's Crypt. Today, I want to be talking about something that I watched recently. Something that has come out not too long ago. About what, a month or so ago, I think. Right? Yeah. Obsession. Yeah. We're gonna get a little graphic on Keeper's Crypt, guys. But my topic of what I wanted to talk about was the true, morals and bear and stuff like that. So, we have the movie, which starts with Nikki, obviously, and Bear. Well, it starts with Bear first, but, he's in his grandma's house, he's chilling, his grandma's kind of just passed away. He's walking in, he finds his cat on the floor, and she also had just passed away, and it was terrible. Cause she decided to eat some pills. I guess we're doing that now. I guess cats can do that. Which, personally, I wouldn't feed my cats some pills. I don't know how you obtain them, especially if there's a child-proof lock, and they're in a medicine cabinet in the bathroom. But that brings me into my first topic. How did the cat die? Yeah. See, now, there's a theory of Bear being a serial killer, which actually does correlate a lot. It really does. Because in the beginning, we see him in his grandma's house, which he inherited, which we find out later on in the movie. But in reality, it's not like he's moving in. It's like he's already been there, right? And that just explains more than what we would expect. Cause why is he already there if she had just died? So obviously one could say, oh, he's living there. Oh, yeah. But how could he inherit the house? Why would he inherit the house if he's already there? He probably done killed his grandma and probably killed the cat. I mean, these things could have happened. We don't know. But what we do know is that Bear is the true villain of the story. Or what I would say is Ian is. Ian is the true villain, sorta. But Bear is morally wrong completely. Because a wish like that would not make someone act out like that. Because we all know that Bear wished that Nikki would love him more than anyone in the fucking world. So, in turn, that created an entity. Because we know that when you make the wish with the One Wish Willow, it creates an entity. Either there's one that's already created, or you create a whole new one. Bear created a whole new one, which was the love for him through Nikki. So, he stated that, but what happens, and what you would assume is that, oh, it's the wish that ended up turning Nikki into what she was. When no, it wasn't the wish. It was really when Bear started to reject her. When Ian called Bear to, protect him and all that jazz because her dad didn't have cancer and stuff. It's because of that, really. That is where Bear ended up believing what was happening and believing his wish and didn't want it and started to just want to get rid of it and wanted that to stop. So he asked her, are you lying? And that made her freak out. No. Yeah. Freaky Nikki right here? Yeah. Right here. You know, there's gonna be something there in post and you know, in production, obviously. Obviously, I'm not that dumb. But no. After Bear ended up making that statement, Nikki had that reaction. The movie started going downhill. Well, not downhill as in movie wise. The movie was great through all acts, act 1, 2, 3, beginning, middle, end. But I'm saying as in the entity and Nikki started to go downhill. Nikki started to start branching away from the entity, in which we do see glimpses of the real Nikki, and then we see obviously the entity taking her back, which is why it's very uncanny when like she's moving, like she moves forward trying to jump at Bear and then moves back, is because the entity is taking over her body again. And Bear, and she's talking to Bear when they're laying down. Bear, kill me, please, please. And he's be like, "Why? You love me. I never loved you." Stuff like that. And you know, it's very, very intriguing how she is able to escape from like what's controlling her to then, you know, like say something, say a few words, say something to actually make it known that she's not in control of herself, that she's not there, but she's witnessing everything that's happening, and that she's not, you know, she's not the one that's doing what she's doing. And Bear is completely ignoring it, fully ignoring what's going on, and accepting that he's with her. That's all he wanted. That's what he got, so he's happy. He's sitting there with that, not realizing what's going on. And you know, there's more to the story, obviously. Like how Ian and Nikki, Freaky Nikki, have been doing the freaky on the low for about 2 years. What do you got to say about that? What do you got to say about that? I don't know how to feel about that. But it happened, and they you know, I feel like Ian should have said something. Because if Ian said something, this movie would have never happened. I feel like Bear and Sarah would have been better together. Bear is completely and morally wrong and psychotic. Ian is a dick. No offense. Sorry for the profanities, but he's a butthead. Terrible, terrible person. But what else? What else? Oh, there's so much deeper meaning to the movie when you go into it. Because you see as Nikki is not in control of her body or control of herself, but she sees what's going on. She knows what's going on. She's trying to escape. Which is why when she does have, you know, there's times where she's attacking herself, that's really Nikki trying to kill herself to get out. You know? And, I mean, it's very dark. When you think about it, it's very dark. The way that things went about. Because if Bear never rejected Nikki, which even then, he never rejected her fully. What happened was, well, this may be very controversial to say, but some people cannot understand that when you do something that someone does not like, they voice it, it does not mean that they do not like you, they do not want to be with you. It's them voicing an opinion about something that you do that makes them feel weird or makes them uncomfortable, and that's what Bear had did. He ended up saying, like, asking if she lied, asking this stuff, and then she took it as rejection, or the entity took it as rejection. And then that's why it went further and further down, And as the movie went on, Bear continued to voice some of these things that he did not like. Nikki, you can't cook the cat. Nikki, we talked about this, you know? And you gotta stop acting freaky and weird, doing the weird walking stuff. He ended up voicing that, and the entity and Nikki took it as rejection, took it as he does not like her, he does not love her. Which, why in the end, when he was talking to Sarah about what happened, they were opening the letter, you see her appearing through both those through the window and just ends up murking Sarah. And Bear goes get another one wish willow for Ian to make a wish. And he doesn't believe it. So he wished for $1 billion. Cause he wants to be a billionaire. So flippin' bad. Buy all of the things he's never had. Anyways, he done that, and Bear flips out because he wanted Ian to wish for. I wish for my friend Bear. I wish for his wish to be revoked. Something like that. Something like that. It is very, very. So you don't have to be specific with your wish. You just have to. What's the word? Explain it properly. You have to explain it properly. So say that Bear wanted this to happen. What you should have said is that, frankly, what he should have said is that I wish for Nikki to confess how she feels about me. Boom. You would know that if she doesn't like you or not. Right? Right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But obviously that's not everyone's first thought. Your first thought is, oh, this is the girl that I like. I want her to like me. Let her love me. Bang. Which, not that smart of a decision, let's be real. Anyways. After Bear is angry with Ian, he runs back to the house to try to get Nikki to make the wish. And it's kind of weird. I feel like the entity would know that you're trying to get someone to wish away the wish. But we don't know that. We don't know if the entity knows or not. But I feel like they would know. That would be my theory. If that happened, it would not have worked either way because the entity knows. So, yeah. But he went home. He walked through that duct tape door and he seen Sarah's mutilated body in a chair. It was, oh my goodness.
Something.
Nikki walks up with blood all over her. She's just smiling ear to ear, all happy. Bear, da, da, da. Yeah. They talking about they're gonna make it work. Ian just busting on the door. He's banging on the door, talking about it works, Bear, it works, Bear, Bear. And he walks in the door, and a lot of stuff is going on. They're freaking out. Well, no, Bear and Nikki's laying down on the couch, talking about they're gonna make it work. Ian's freaking out because he sees Sarah's body. And then Nikki just pulls out the 9 and then lays fire. Just one to the dome, and he went home. Oh my. Oh. Wow. I mean, it's bound to happen. I mean, like, I didn't like Ian. I didn't like him. You knew your mans wanted her, but you were still hooking up with her for 2 years. You gotta go. So frankly, I was okay with that. I mean, Sarah I was sad about. But I was okay with Ian. He could have won. That was perfectly fine. Now what really was kind of crazy is after that happened, Bear goes to the bathroom. He goes to the bathroom. He's freshening up. While he has the gun on him. He's ready to pull the trigger. He's ready to take himself out. he takes his dead grandmother's pills, the ones that he fed to the cat, the ones that he killed his grandma with, probably. You know, he killed his cat to get a one up on Nikki, and then fed the cat to himself to pretend Nikki did it. How much y'all want to bet? Actually, we don't know if he was a serial killer or not. That's the theory. But yeah, Nikki, we talked about this. You can't cook the cat. You can't, Nikki. You can't. Anyways, so we know that Bear's in the bathroom. He's going through it. He's freaking out. He just doesn't know what to do anymore. He pops the pills, and then all we see is him sit down, and then start smiling and get up. Then he walks out, goes to Nikki, kisses her, then dies. That's it. She wished for him to love her like she loved him. He OD'd. She awoken from the entity. She awoken from her being expelled or whatever the hell. She's not possessed no more. She's freaking out. The mental trauma this girl has from this one man is more than you can get from, I don't know. I was trying to make it sentimental at the end. But yeah, let's talk about his morals. So Bear knew what he was doing was morally not okay. He should have known that technically he did force her against her will to be in a relationship. If you think about it. Kind of. Because of the wish, technically making them fall for each other. Well, the wish making him fall for her. Well, making her fall for him. And they got together. They did all this stuff. But he knew that something wasn't right. And yet he still proceeded with it. No matter the things that happened, the arguments, the bad stuff that she did to other people, he stayed because it's what he wanted. He finally got what he wanted. He didn't care about anything else. Anything that anyone said. He got what he wanted. He was happy. And it really goes to show that some people don't have much care unless they have what they want. If they have what they want, they don't care about anything. So if this shows just how much people are greedy for one thing, and when they get that one thing, everything else does not matter, and it can all perish. Is basically how it looks. Because you're I don't know. It just goes to show that man's moral compass was not okay. And this was a different take on the Keeper's Crypt and on, settings and stuff. But Bear, Nikki, Ian, Sarah, cool cast, cool movie. That was the Keeper's Crypt, y'all. Adios.